أسعدتم صباحا أعزائي الحضور أيضا على الأونلاين نرحب
Good morning, everyone. We welcome you. This is Sahar, the head of programs strengthening. Our session today is about the newsrooms formulations in the future and the challenges of AI and the solutions and the impact on the variation of the content. We will discover all these issues and with our guests, honored guests. We will start with our first guest, Maher Shweiti, who resides in Kuwait. He's a Lebanese journalist and he works with international news agencies. Ms. Mira Abdullah, and she is the head of the gender variation. And then Ms. Dalal, she's a journalist with long expertise. She's a strategic consultant in One Efran. We will start now with this session. We have women with us and this discussion with Mr. Maher. Mr. Maher. Regarding AI and journalists around the world in the Arab region, these are attempts to discover this field. We're at the beginnings. Will you tell us, please, how can journalists have an impact in the teaching of AI? The other question during our discussions, you told us about the importance of automation in AI. We'd like to learn from you the difference between automation and generation of AI. Yes, thank you very much. Automation is fundamental. It's safe use to AI because it has limits. And it is limited, and the program that we are dealing with is confined by certain limitations. I've been using this for years, and about 30% of news are automated. And we know the machine that where it uses the logarithms, which has entered data, is very accurate. And that wasn't as much as it is now since years. Now, if I want to come up with a news piece of news quickly, it can be done, but we won't be able to be quicker than the automated ways. So automation has been there for years, and big news agencies have been using it for long. What's new is that AI, the generating and creative AI, there's a difference between them, and this is what is really needs to be dived in. And we see this in big newsrooms who has a big variation of tools and programs. I know a newsroom that uses 20 softwares and programs in order to handle different journalistics or media tasks. So and sometimes we can see there's repetition, or it takes some effort to derive some data. So this can be exhausting. At the same time, text-to-speech software or speech-to text. So this is something that we usually work on. So let's take a press release and then to convert it into text, or to extract some data from a text or from a recording. All these softwares are there in all big newsrooms, and this is basic. They're available. What's important is to see that it's not about automation of if there's a text that is not automated. So let's say it was 3.5%, and now it's it was 2.5%. So there's an increase, and it would go to the highest speed like for 6 months. So this is what we get by automated. As for the context, what are the most sectors that have seen this magnification? This is a leap how to deal with AI, the generative and the creative AI, and I believe the question was about how we handle these softwares. Of course, there should be limitations. The whole idea is about talking about automation in economic context, but what about political context now, where we're in the process of Syria, for instance? And I, as a journalist in Newsroom, how can I benefit from automation in following up with the current news in Syria? Every minute, there are updates. How can I make use of the automation or automotive news? Automation here is not really important in this. It's the human context that is important. But as for AI deals with existing data that is saved and stored somewhere, and the feedback that we give to the AI, there are thumbs up, down. Why is your answer right or wrong? This would take a year in order to find its place within the big platforms. So it's not about right or wrong, or there are training models in order to be able to handle it well. It's a long process. This is where the investigative journalism lies. This is where the human input is important. There should be a journalist who handles this mega data or this type of data. And again, I go back that humans and the human touch is the most important. In Syria, it's nothing to do with AI. So for us, journalists who we started our work with writing with pen, and then the editor would correct our drafting in red, that we feel this sense of the human touch in it. So our session today is sponsored by ARIJ and WIFRA. That's why we are keen to learn about how much this context will have to do with AI or to be generative by AI, and it would take into consideration the engagement and the so how can a newsroom has variations and the importance of AI?
When we talk about engagement and diversity, we talk about generative AI, not automation, because today the AI is learning from the available content to it. And unfortunately, when we look at about the content today, it is not engaging for the women. It is not engaging from the time of language, nor religion, gender, etc. And I will give you a simple example. When we look at the representation of the women in the news today, women constitute 25% of the news. The AI will take that representation and reapply it. It will repeat the same figures and the same content which exist and the percentages which exist. For example, if I ask the AI today to develop an image for a board of directors of a certain company, it will give me a photo full of men. Because we still have a certain stereotype for the people in business, but the majority are men. And unfortunately, we see that today in the media, and this is created by the human being, not only the AI. What AI is doing is that it is repeating the non-engagement of the women that does exist in the available content, and we need to add the Western perception of the Arab region. For example, we see in many areas the AI is not capable to differentiate between the Lebanese and Indian. They cannot differentiate between the religions. We have, for example, certain clothes or certain countries. To what extent the AI is able to feed the content to the AI in order to be able to create more right content. And so we have two responsibilities now. Before AI, we need the content that we are disseminating and publishing. To what extent do we have diversity and we have engagement and inclusion in order to find the AI for it to be able to learn and to be more engaging. And the second thing, when we create the content over AI, to what extent we have the awareness and the capability to identify the level of engagement with that content. Do we have any stereotype? Is there sufficient representation for the various categories, women in particular, etc.? And I believe that here becomes the role of the journalist. We are journalists, we cannot stand still with regards to the AI and using it. There are still a lot of work that needs to be done, in particular as male and female journalists writing in the Arabic language. We still have a lot of work to do, and I say that the journalist is extremely important in order to feed AI and also to monitor the output of the AI. Yes, if we leave AI and deal with it as a human, how much will be the output? And for me, I believe that we need to have a gender equality unless there are certain policies that protect this kind of diversity in the newsrooms. And here is a question that will be addressed to Ms. Dalal, being a strategic expert. How the leaders of media outlets develop sustainable strategies to include while promoting the inclusion and diversity and preserving the different ethical values. This Now we have AI in the media, and the big question was, is there any further need for the journalist that could that be substituted? And we found that no, there isn't a substitute for the journalist by AI or full substitute them. This has changed our practice for journalists, but on the other hand, we in the newsrooms or the editing rooms and the method how the content is diverse. This decision comes from the editorial of the media outlet. The journalist must play a role, and this was mentioned by Maher and Mira. If we look at the newsrooms and how the news are being distributed, you have given a big example of what is taking place now in Syria. Unless you have people on the ground that are covering the news and breaking the news, we need to produce the news. The human factor. We have the human factor. Now they are covering the news in Syria. We have women in the street. Maybe they are cheering. Maybe they are crying. So the journalist or the observer must be writing about those women. When they write about those women, this will be stored in all the contents. And if you pay attention, we need to pay more focus to the issue of engagement and to cover all the dimensions when we cover a certain news. I would like to focus on one thing. In the newsrooms, we as a journalist, male and female, we try to use the AI. Each one of us is trying to use the AI in one way or another, whether chat GPT or others. But we work in media outlets that have editing policies. This needs to be applied not only on the content, but also the way we use the AI. This is why we have large media outlets that give guidelines, and they have their own policies for the use of AI and when and how. It is important to understand because we hear many times that we ask AI in order to write an article. This is wrong. Well, who do you think must take the lead in developing the ethics? For example, we in the conventional journalists, we had the Association of Journalists. Will the association and partnership with the different media outlets be able to develop some kind of guidelines or standards or manual that will determine to the journalist to what extent the AI will be included in the content and how to deal with the AI? This is a very nice question, and I would like to thank you for it. We, in our experience and during this year in our meeting with the chief editors who are our partners at the various media outlet, we have also done a training about AI and how we need to exert the efforts. Now we have put in a simplified manner all the ethical values that need to be taken into consideration. The various media outlets must start by developing manuals or instructions on how to use the AI because it will guide the different journalists how to use it and in what way to use it. And this will be in the editing policy of every outlet. You cannot impose on them what you want. It depends on what is suitable for them, depending on their editing policy. The other thing is that we need to train the journalists, and this is extremely important in order for that to be clear for them. Like Mr. Maher has said, we have different websites, and we have over 20 software for AI now. How can we limit that, and in what framework this could be used? We need to have a discussion with the journalists to determine that. And this makes me ask a question to Mr. Maher. Now, the misinformation and disinformation that exists on the websites, and sometimes these are being produced or generated by AI. What will be the effect thereof? And to what extent can we trust automation in order to be able to detect any kind of mistakes in the content or bias that is in the content? I believe that before anything else, you were talking about the different controls. We need to know that it is the responsibility of the journalist about the news he or she publishes. They are responsible for that content. They cannot say that this is AI and make that as an use that as an excuse. The most important factor in any content is the accuracy. And our accuracy is our responsibility. And here comes the human factor. If I have any suspicions that it is a fabricated content, I cannot say as an excuse that this is an electronic attack or AI. Me as a journalist, I am supposed to be trained, and the editing room that trained me and prepared me in order to be able to deal with that issue. And hence, I believe we have talked about fact checking. How can we verify the news? And if I receive a certain news, how do I deal with it? Do I have any doubts or suspicious about it or not? There's no need to have suspicious, but there is a process that need to be followed. And especially those journalists that deal with the breaking news, they don't have the time to scrutinize the news. If I did not publish it right now, the other competitors are going to precede me. So there needs to be a process through which we can avoid that. And then, so we remove that burden from that journalist in the newsroom responsible for the breaking news. And we tell them that there is a certain process you need to follow in order to verify that news. And you have the editing room, you have all the electronic application that will help you to verify a certain news or a photo or a video. And hence, in my opinion, the most important thing, we go back to the basic thing, which is the human responsibility, the responsibility of the journalist himself or herself for the accuracy of the news.
Well, at the end of the day, it's the responsibility of an editor in a newsroom. Miss Mira, can you give us some examples of success stories or failures regarding gender equality when using AI? Examples on the success of AI in creating a content, or maybe especially when we talk about the automation in an AI. So we see that maybe biasm is less. There are many examples about the tools that are being used nowadays. For instance, the gender tracker tool, or the tracker for gender equality, which one Flowen program has created. This is a tool. It's an automated tool. Journalists can use it in order to assess the level of gender equality in a content, in a news content. So we do copy paste of the content on this tool, and it can calculate how much is the percentage of women in that piece of news, and if it concerns women, how much their voices are being raised, and then it would be posted for a month and on that tool, and it would generate a detailed report about the representation of women in such a report. So this is one of the tools that can help us as journalists to assess how much are we engaging the gender perspective, or if there's a variation in this news. But there are failures as well. For instance, how much AI can be biased as well. And this bias is based on our nature as humans. In every content that we create and which we feed into the AI, we can see it in the reflected in the content. Of course, things are better than before, and we've seen many big companies how they reconsidered their content and their treat to the AI. Previously, it was very much biased against women, and now they're aware of things and they have improved the way they enter data and are more aware of this inequality. Of course, there are many other things that need to be done, but according to what we see now, there is now this awareness. It's rising, and in order to make sure that this machine won't be as biased as we humans can be, and to have less biasm and to engage more and to have a better variation. Yes, this is a main part of the trainings that are conducted by organizations, and being very aware of this, which makes journalists would need to keep in mind when preparing any story or report, to have gender equality in mind. Uh, there's a question I'd like to pose to the three of you. I'd like the three of you to answer this question. Who bears the responsibility of what is posted of news that is generated by AI? Is it the news agency, Is it the company that owns the AI program? We in conventional journalism, the traditional one, the journalist is the one to be held accountable according with the chief editor on what's published. But regarding news generated by AI, whose responsibility would that be? Would you start, Mr. Maher? I believe it's a responsibility of well, it's the role of big platforms, major platforms. They play a major role, and we as news agencies need to be in constant touch with such big agencies. I know that some of them are here with us. So, because we are now in nowadays we are laying the foundations of using these systems or laying the foundations of the use of such systems. So we need to play an effective role in the content. We will feed into the content and they will give us or provide us with these tools. We talked about automation, but increasingly we will see that we will generate more and more automated news. And regarding the political context and some analysis to some events could be generated by AI. However, how can we verify that there's no gap, there's no fabrication, that we are considering all specificities. So we need to be advanced. We need to end that time where we only pose questions. We need to be more interactive positively with this advancement and just move on. What concerns us is to take and deliver. And again, that's why we need to have this constant communication with these big tech companies. I'm not mentioning any names, but they know who they are, where they are developing softwares, and sometimes they manipulate one program or software then because it has more intelligent features than others. That's why it's important that we have a step in this and we and be engaged and not be absent. Otherwise, next year we'll see that the data is not the same as the one we have entered last year. Okay, Mira, in the last 3 minutes, I do endorse what Mr. Maher said, and we need to work together, we and these companies. Neither AI can replace conventional journalism, and neither the traditional journalism can replace AI. Nowadays, it's vital that AI be utilized. However, as much as possible, we should collaborate. Nobody would replace the other. But as Mr. Maher said, we are now laying the basis and foundations to this collaboration. That's why we need to be aware of all the details in this process. AI will be always there from now till many years ahead. I believe this equilibrium should be there between AI and the work of humans in order to maintain accuracy, the credibility of sources. We news agencies, we affect the public opinion. We raise awareness of people, so we carry a big responsibility to maintain the basis of this profession. We are there. We will use AI. We generate news. However, I'd like to add to what they just said regarding data in Arabic language that AI uses. And this is an idea that we had discussed with our colleagues. The AI tools or the AI use of Arabic language is that it needs to be updated, it needs to be used. And that's why we see that data in Arabic in AI was very limited. However, it's picking up. but it still needs lots of work to be done and improved. Thank you very much. I would like to thank our panelists. There are still questions lingering and need to be answered, but hopefully with time we will find the answers. This is Yaqub Haji from Algiers. I'm a journalist. I'm the head of Al Mustathmar economic newspaper. So we discussed AI and its relation to the work of journalists. However, are there any news agency, if any news agency wanted to fortify its impact and its work and while maintaining the ethics of this profession? So if we talk about the identity of AI, and if there's any media agency does not have an identity, AI, it won't have any editorial identity, or its a newsroom and its editors won't have any AI ID. That's why if anyone wanted to publish anything and in strengthening their newsroom, what should they do in this case? We basically, let's be frank about this. Our experience of most of us, it's still with chatting with AI, and it's not about handling all the softwares and programs of AI. I believe that a newsroom should uh, should let the AI programs available to journalists who are in the newsroom in their different types of work, video, media, everything, because all these sections have some programs or specified programs to work in, and this is how they would improve their production and be maybe quicker or more accurate. AI is an opportunity, a big opportunity to organizations who don't have much capacities. They would let you do a lot or produce a lot with little effort. And I'm not fully aware about the details of or maybe agency you were working in or thinking about. It's not fit to all organizations or agencies at the same time. Each blogger has special specificities. Each agency has its own capacities. So maybe we should ask ourselves, what are the softwares that are useful to me, that helps me in creating a content that is adaptable to my audience, at the same time maintaining my independence, financial independence, and the sustainability of my work. I don't want to keep on spending and overspending, which is becoming beyond my capacities. So this is, I think, important to every news agency. Thank you. Thanks for all the panelists. We hope we meet again. And the world of A media raises questions and inquiries in the journalism world. Thank you very much.